Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Nick Tan Chats. My name is Nick Tan, and on today's episode I'll be chatting with you guys about something called the IARVEL Pad Pro Max, released by IARVEL Magic. So hi again guys, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for showing up, thanks for tuning in, and thanks for spending some time with me today. So on my recent travels to China, during my lecture tour over there, I got to meet a lot of people, I got to know a lot of people as well. And one such person was actually, I think, involved with IARVEL Magic, and he really kindly gave me one of these, the IARVEL Pad Pro Max, which is basically an electronic impression device. So he told me that this was just a little gift, for me, and he would love it if I could do an episode on my channel. And at that point, I was a little bit, hesitant, because it is not a cheap gift, And I, being the really non-electronic person, I was hesitant as well, about electronic pads. Well, I had one really bad experience in the past. Long story short, I won't say the brand, but this guy, he was really helpful, really nice to me just before I made my purchase. But once I purchased it, things didn't work, the pad wasn't functioning properly and stuff. He basically told me, in a nice way to kind of get lost, So the customer service was zero. He just kind of became a different person, I think, the moment he got my money. But anyhow, I was concerned about how to set up the board, and pairing it up with your phone and your watch and Bluetooth and connectivity and batteries and stuff, and also using the impression device, So, I voiced my concerns to this friend of mine, and he really kindly actually sat down with me for about half an hour, and walked me through the IARVEL Pad. He set it up for me on my phone, on my watch, and he taught me exactly how it worked and how to use it as well in performance. And at the end of the whole session, I was quite surprised that the pad was actually quite easy to use. So I'm sure that there will be some of you out there who are really well versed with electronic impads and some features which might be new to me. You guys already know about and might already be existing in current pads out there. But I'll just tell you what the IARVEL Pad can do, and then at the end of it all, I'll give you some thoughts. My thoughts on using such devices as well. So the IARVEL Pad comes to you in this box, It's a huge box, and I had to kind of rearrange my luggage just to accommodate such a huge prop. Inside the box, I'll just do a little unboxing for you right now. You will get the charging cable, for the board itself, the clipboard. You will get a pen. Now this is the pen that you do need to use together with the board, the impad. However, it looks like that, first of all, it is not electronic. I don't know how it works, It's not electronic, there are no batteries, there's no charging that's required. The only thing you do need to change is the ink cartridge, of which they do provide you two. There are two that came with my set, so all you need to do is to just change those, and the pen should just keep working for you all the time. And then of course, inside you also get, you get a huge stack of paper. And now it doesn't have to be this paper that you use, because it's electronic, any paper will work, but they do provide you a stack for you to get started with. And then of course you get the clipboard. You get a clipboard. Now mine is actually the wood finish version. I think there's one that looks like plastic, that's in black. So you can see that it's quite, it's a bit thicker than most regular clipboards are out there, I suppose. But it's really well made, it looks great, feels great as well. Slightly on the heavier side, I think, than what you would expect a clipboard to weigh. But I think, it being wood and all, maybe that kind of justifies the weight, when you're handling it, As you can tell, I've been really fooling around with the the clipboard. It's been really fun just to see how well the whole thing worked. In addition to the props, you will also get a link to a tutorial video. So the tutorial video is not long. There are no routines or any like effects shown on them. It's just like a 13-minute or so video, which takes you through the activation, all right, of the board along with your phone and your watch, how to pair everything up, and then they will also take you through all the features, all the functions that are available on the IARVEL Pad, when you choose to use it. There's a bit of customization that you can do, and I'll get to those in just a while. So some things that you can customize on the pad itself, right? In the app, in the IARVEL app. The app is actually free. You can download it from the App Store, and it will pair together with most of the IARVEL range of products. Now, I'm not familiar with them, okay, but I do know that things like there's a watch, I think, that will pair as well with this. But yes, you just need one app on your phone, on your watch as well, okay, and then it's really easily paired up. Some things that you can customize, things like the thickness of the pen, the ink that you get on the screen. You can customize how many seconds you wish to have the ink on screen before it clears out. All right, in preparation for the next one, okay, because this IARVEL Pad allows you to take up to 9 imps at a time, right, on the screen. So what happens would be, spectator number 1, for example, they would write something on a sheet of paper, and then, when they're handing the board to somebody else, perhaps, right, in those seconds, all right, which can be customized, you can set it to like 3, 4, 5, 10 seconds, anything you like. The image will then zoom in, all right, on your screen. So even if the spectator was to write like a really small word at the bottom of the page, like cat, you will first see on your screen just a small kind of writing, right, in the corner of the screen. Now, you won't be able to read it, but after the number of seconds that you have set have passed, it would then zoom in and fill up the whole screen, all right, which then would enable you to see it really clearly. At the end of that, it's ready to take on another imp. Okay, so you can go to like 3, 4, 5 spectators. It's entirely up to you. And at the end of the whole process, you're able to scroll through all of the individual, information, all the things that the spectators have written down. You can also go to a screen that shows you like a grid display. All right. So, for example, if you've got like 4 spectators, at the end of the whole process, you can scroll to a screen where the screen shows you a grid, a 4x4, a 2x2 grid, sorry, and it shows you each of the impressions inside one screen itself. So I thought that was really, really useful. So other things that can be customized, the color of the ink that is shown on your screen itself. You can also customize your peak screen. Okay, so normally I think I would probably have it just in like a black screen because the phone is never seen. But you can, if you want, get like a screen capture, a screenshot of your phone's wallpaper and have that as your peak screen. Okay, so I thought that was, an interesting idea. But other than that, I think there's nothing much else to say about this. It works really well. It looks great, feels great as well. The imps have been quite dependable. I've not had so far any issues with anything not coming through, right? If there's any issue at all, it's just kind of little bits that aren't kind of picked up, but based on the imp on the screen, you can make out what is written. In terms of range, I can't remember the actual range that it boasted, right? But I tried this out in China in a theater. So I was standing on stage. A friend of mine went with the clipboard all the way to the front seat, right? The front seats, and we tried it from that distance. It worked really well. It worked fine. So that's the kind of distance that I probably would go, maximum, right? If I would ever use this, I probably think I would use it on stage. Okay, so I don't think range would be a problem in that kind of a situation. So yeah, that is the IARVEL Pad, all right, the IARVEL Pad Pro Max, and it's just, I suppose, really clean, right? When you enter the world of electronic mentalism, then I suppose, there are things that can be done, totally hands-off, right? Because now you don't need to touch the paper, you don't need to touch the clipboard. Nothing needs to be taken back. The spectator writes something onto the clipboard, they rip out the page, fold it up, pocket the piece of paper, and you have the information already, right? So the conditions that you can perform under become really, really clean. However, all right, well, for me, I've not used electronic imp devices, right, at all, right, in my shows. And I think, well, being a bit older, I think, maybe I'm not that confident with it. I'm always paranoid about it failing during the show. Also, I think I haven't got a routine, or a sequence or an effect that I cannot perform using like regular traditional techniques. Because if you're talking about revealing a number, a name, a drawing, well, these are effects that already happen, in the envelope test that I do, right? So it's not as though getting an electronic device, an iPad like that, opens up new effects. Yes, granted, I think the conditions by which the effect happens under becomes really clean, right? It becomes really clean because it's totally hands-off, but I'm unsure if that kind of tips at the method as well. So I don't know. These are all just speculations, just opinions of mine. So will I use this device? I don't know. I really don't, because even if you're talking about pre-show, and my show in China, I did have a pre-show that needed to be done. I just used a really traditional kind of iPad, right? A really low-tech iPad. So I can already do the effects that I require without an electronic device, right? So unless I can think about, a routine or an effect that uses this, right, and the effect is just dependent on having this itself, I'm not sure if I would use it. So if you are, someone who uses these kinds of things regularly, and if you have any ideas about routines and effects, I'd love to hear from you. Get in touch with me, email me with your ideas. I would love to learn from you guys, and maybe just kind of get myself a little bit more updated, in terms of electronic mentalism. Also, I think that getting the peak will be a concern for me as well, because I don't think I'd feel comfortable kind of, doing this kind of action during the show, right? Especially before reveals, right? Or, well, going to my case, and then getting a marker perhaps, right? Or getting something just before the reveal as well, right? So I think structuring the peaks, you do need to spend some time, thinking about those things, because currently at this point, using low-tech traditional techniques, the peaks that I do are all just covered and can be done in the open, right? With no kind of cover or motivation to go to a case or look at a watch, anything like that, right? So while getting the information is new, the way you get it is new, I think getting the peak will still need some thought put into it in terms of justifying the moment, right? So that everything seems, just invisible. But enough of that. I don't want the video to go on for too long, but this is the IARVEL Pad. Looks really nice, feels really good, works really well, feels quite, hardy as well. So if you are looking out for an electronic iPad, you can have a look at the IARVEL Pad Pro Max. It's available on their website. I will leave the link in the description box down below. Alright guys, but that's all for today's episode. I do hope you enjoyed it and got something out of it as well. Until the next episode, remember, do stay safe, take care of yourselves, have fun with your magic and your mentalism, and I'll see you on the next one.